right, Mix 1041 and MixTV.tv. We are joined by our friends from Alon Planning Partners. We have Jay and Brittany Hagee here in the studio. Again, so glad to have you all with us here today.
So good to be here. Thank you, Bridget.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of continue a conversation from before. We've been talking about common mistakes and pitfalls that people face when it comes to their financial planning. So again, we're just going to continue that conversation. What do you have for us today?
Well, I want to speak to one specific area, and a lot of times this can be the hardest area for most folks to change, and that's their mindset. Is because a lot of times we get stuck in one way of doing things, and we feel like that is the only way that's going to work, or we've seen it work for our neighbors or our friends or our family, and we're like, this is the way that I have to go, right? A lot of times when people get close to retirement, their accumulation mindset or their growth mindset, they've continued to, I've just got to accumulate assets. I've got to save, I've got to grow, which has been good for you maybe for 30 or 40 years. You now have to change to a distribution mindset. You have to change to, how should I position my money now that I'm getting ready to take income from it, right? Because now, average returns of your portfolio are not all that matters. You have to think about sequence of returns. You have to think about large drawdowns or the market being volatile and going down. We're seeing a lot of market volatility right now. And so we help folks with that transition. If you are close to or near retirement, you have to have a conversation with someone like us, because you really do have to change your philosophy of how you look at money and look at your savings going forward. And a lot of that has to do with positioning and asset allocation, meaning where are my dollars right now? Am I in the same portfolio that I've been in for 30 years? Or how am I positioning myself now that I actually have to begin to take an income? So one common pitfall is staying invested the exact same way you've been for the last 30, 40 years without taking any notice to what's happening in the macroeconomics or what's happening outside of where you're at currently, to make sure that when you're now taking dollars from these retirement accounts, that you don't have the same volatility levels that you've had in your working years.
Yeah, and it's really looking at it in different, I don't like using the term buckets necessarily, but different sums of money, different categories of money and how it's invested. Investing your dollars according to the purpose that they have. So that doesn't mean that when you get to the point of retirement, you shouldn't take any risk.
That's right.
That's not at all what we're saying.
No.
We're just saying you shouldn't take your entire nest egg and keep it positioned the way it's been positioned through the 40 working years that you had. There should be some adjustments made. Take some risk off the table. And yes, absolutely, we want to continue to grow our funds through our entire lifetime. We don't want to just sit them and just take distributions. No, we want our money to work for us so that we're not always working for money. We want to make that exchange. So put your money to work, but there's different ways to do that, to take some risk off the table, but still experience some growth. So, and that's a common thing we see is many folks having the majority of their savings, retirement funds, emergency funds, all of it kind of in one bucket, all invested the same way, moving the same direction at the same time, which offers no diversification and can really put you in a difficult position, especially if you're nearing retirement.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking with Jay and Brittany Hagee with Alon Planning Partners. Their number 423-315-1441 and alonplanning.com. We're talking today about some common mistakes, and financial planning can be difficult to handle on your own. But you come alongside your clients and you guys really look out for them.
That's right. We sit on the same side of the table as our clients. We are independent fiduciary advisors, which means we work for our clients, not
solely.
A big box brokerage house or an insurance company or anyone else, but our clients.
That's right.
They are the focus. And so another pitfall that we really want to highlight, because we see it so often, is especially whether you're married or single, but especially for married couples, seeing one or the other individual uninformed when it comes to their financial situation. So we want to help folks recognize the need to be fully informed regarding their financial situation. That's part of why we love doing this together as a couple, helping other couples really navigate through that and make sure that both parties, they don't necessarily have to be making all the decisions, right? One person, if they have a skill or ability or desire for that, they can certainly take the lead, but the other party should certainly be involved and informed so that if something were to happen to the one who did take the lead, the one kind of left wouldn't be in a financial mess on top of the emotional trauma and all of that loss could experience. So there's a lot that goes into that, but just ensuring that you know where your funds are, you know how they're functioning, you know how to access dollars, you know passwords, you know how to pay all the bills, right? So even if your spouse handles those things, ensuring that you're prepared if something were to happen, where you could assume those responsibilities, and it wouldn't be such a traumatic shift when it comes to your finances, being prepared for those types of things.
Yeah. And so that one's a huge one. That's why Brittany said we want to help couples, because we teach couples workshops a lot of times to make sure that it's okay that if one individual takes the lead in this over the other,
Sometimes
that's natural.
It's the woman, sometimes it's the man.
Exactly.
However it is fine.
But we have to make sure both parties are informed, and a lot of times we find that's not the case. So, it's okay if you don't understand everything. You don't have to understand every minute detail if you're not the one taking the lead, but you have to at least be informed if something were to happen to your spouse, that you knew how to continue processing your finances.
And I'll speak to those who are on their own. If you are listening and you're on your own and like, well, that doesn't apply to me. It applies to you in the fact that we see so many individuals who are managing everything on their own, and they're unorganized or disorganized, and they don't know where things are. They don't know how to access their accounts. They don't know where things are how things are positioned, or maybe even as simple as needing like a database for your passwords and logins. And I mean, it seems really, again, I know it seems really like basic and foundational, but if we can get some of these really basic concepts in place, we will find we'll get to where we want to be.
Yeah, and the very last pitfall that I kind of want to hit is not considering taxes in your retirement accounts. Because at the beginning of this segment, I talked a lot about asset allocation and like we need to make sure we're positioned right and we're changing our mindset. Well, we also want to have diversification within our tax statuses. Right. So are all of your accounts in tax deferred funds? Do you just have a 401k or an IRA? Meaning that I still owe taxes on all these dollars. I see this all the time. Folks come in and maybe they have $300,000, $500,000 in a 401k and they're like, man, do I have enough to retire? And sure, but you forget that you have a partner in those accounts as well.
Those dollars aren't all yours.
They're not all yours. And a lot of times folks forget that and they're like, oh, yes, I do. And it's really called the dirtiest trick ever played, because the government, said, hey, I'll make this deal with you. You don't have to pay taxes on these dollars now. But at some undisclosed time at undisclosed rates, I'm going to tell you what you have to take out and how much you have to pay. Right. So we have to be smart with the tax rates that we know right now and see if we can maybe get some Roth conversions done, meaning that we can put some of those tax deferred dollars into tax-free buckets. And so we want to make sure that if you have nothing but tax deferred accounts, 401ks, traditional IRAs, things like this, how can we help you with tax diversification so that you can take some of the ease off knowing that not all of this money do I owe Uncle Sam on, right? So you have to consider taxes in retirement because they will be a big issue going forward. Yep. And so we help demystify that and make sure that you have a plan with your tax planning going forward.
And with so many pieces kind of being juggled when it comes to this whole comprehensive approach, don't be overwhelmed.
Don't be confused.
Don't hear us and think, oh, wait, I can't even begin that. Yes, you can, because we'll walk you through it. We'll help you navigate through the process. You don't have to go it alone. That's why we offer the complimentary consultation. There's no obligation. There's never any pressure with us. It is low key and personal, one-on-one, and that's the kind of environment that we like to create for those folks that come in. So we'll talk about your situation. There's no pressure. There's no obligation, or just be at ease. We are here to serve you. Again, that's why we are independent fiduciary advisors. The way we're licensed speaks to that. The way that we positioned within our business speaks to that. And our heart, our desire is really to come alongside folks and put them in a better situation than they were.
Help them reach those goals. And if you're in a spot where you have a financial goal that you don't know how to even begin, come talk to us. Sit down with us, call us, get this complimentary consultation on your schedule, because we love helping folks achieve the goals that they have financially.
And listen, if this kind of intrigues you more and you're like, hey, I kind of would like to know more, we have a ton of educational resources we've created. Obviously, I've already mentioned our book, The Allen Approach. That's something we give out to everyone who comes in and sits down with us. We have a YouTube channel with all kinds of educational information, from shorts to 30-minute long-form TV shows that we have that air every week. We have a a weekly radio show and podcast. So we're constantly providing education and information in an effort to help you feel empowered to be able to take control of this and say, hey, let me do what I can do. Let me position things
That's right.
better. Let me set myself up for success and create that pathway to the future you want.
Our friends Jay and Brittany Hagee with Allon Planning Partners. Remind us again how to get in touch with you.
You can go to our website, allonplanning.com, ALLON planning.com, and you can find those resources Brittany was talking about right there. You can connect with us on our calendar right there. You can schedule your complimentary consultation or just give us a call, 423-315-1441. That's 423-315-1441. We would love to connect with you and your family and see how we can help you get to those financial goals that you have.
Allon Planning Partners, Jay and Brittany Hagee, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Bridget.
Thank you.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. All rights reserved.
A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies.